Hi, folks. You're with Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio no pictures live stream. Please listen to this essay as you would a radio broadcast as you're driving along in your car or your truck, or put in those earbuds and listen to it on public transport. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the influence of and the effect of and the power of, if you like, being on the party A-list. That's the social functions, dinner parties, embassy parties, and so on. Now, if you're on the party A list, if you have power, influence, maybe you're a politician, maybe you're in business, maybe you're a senior public servant. It tends more to gravitate around senior public servants and politicians, or those at the very apex of business, or heads of quangos, and increasingly today those who are at the apex of the NGOs, given that the amount of influence, the outsized influence they now have. But to be on the party A list is an important thing. Also, it can be judges and people who, again, anyone with power and influence are really people on the party A list. It could be people who are just very rich, but otherwise have no actual direct power. But anyway, to be on the party A list is it's a big thing. Your social life is a bit of a desert unless you're on this party A list. Not only you're meeting the shaker movers and the most important, influential and supposedly powerful people in the society. And also visiting dignitaries and this sort of thing, investment bankers and that sort of stuff. You're meeting and moving and grooving with these people, but you're building relationships, you're networking. But quite apart from that, even to be invited to and to be on such a list is in itself a reflection of one's social prestige, social status, and so on. Now, these parties and gatherings are typically sumptuous affairs. They're not serving cheap boxed wine or you're not getting a Subway or something like that. These places, they are sumptuous affairs, and top of the range French chefs are hired to do the cuisine. The wine list is poured over, and no pun intended. The wine list is gone over, and only the very best wines are selected. And there's often a wine selection committee that in themselves will fight to the death over which wine is put on the list for the party. The catering is done by people in crisp white uniforms, and on it goes. So these are the parties you want to get invited to, and if you are at a certain level of social prestige, then you expect to be invited and need to be. And your social prestige can suffer if you go from the party A list to the B list, or heaven forbid, you hardly get any invites at all. That's it. Your social prestige has suffered damage that could be terminal. I mean, you may never recover from this sort of thing. And it's very important to people who wield power and influence that they're invited to they like to parade up and down at these parties and gatherings. And it's again a reflection of the as they would see it, the esteem with which they are held in this society, or amongst the glitterati of the society anyway. Now, I've been over the years. I've been to some of these A-list parties, but not many. I'm certainly not on the list now, and it's easy to get disinvited. Any even mild defence or even defence questioning, because if Donald Trump is attacked at these parties, that's considered to be, you're very with it, and what's best for humanity, not like those troglodytes that supposedly vote for non-globalist policies. But I was at a barbecue thing a while ago, or not that long ago actually, and somebody was saying, "Oh, Trump's going to Hitler and this," and the normal sort of nonsense talking point that comes out of CNN, and I didn't sort of fight Trump's corner, so I just asked, well, where have you, what's the evidence to support that? And even to question it or to seek verification, that's enough. And the look that I got back was, I don't think this person had ever been, challenged or asked or questioned, or no one had sought verification. They've just all nodded along. And the look I got back was, oh, fuck. And even other people looking around. And I noticed on that sort of barbecue lunchtime party circuit, we haven't received a single invitation since then. So a word out of place can get you into a lot of trouble. But I'm not someone of huge social status in the first place, or huge power. So it's sort of irrelevant, I guess. And I remember there was a French movie that I saw where the people at this French elite group of people, and they were told, or to make the party interesting, they had to go and find the dumbest sort of weirdo they could find and invite them to the party as an object of fun and to be sneered at and this sort of thing. And I wondered whether that was the only value that my wife and I had to this group, because we were the only people that weren't fantastically rich at the group. So I wonder whether we were being invited for that. But coming back to this idea of now, this has a lot of pull because, again, with the word out of place or a decision out of place, for example, let's suppose you're a judge you're a judge on an appeal court, and a well-known supposed right-wing figure, or someone who just opposes globalization or questions it, is being dragged into court on some spurious bullshit charge by some bullshit NGO that's just doing lawfare, and that the case against the court against the guy was bullshit, and it was an activist judge sort of found him guilty, and that the law requires you. Under appeal, law requires you to overturn the lower court judgment. But you're on this party circuit and everyone's talking about the case, but which is in the public domain. You may not be speaking out of turn. And so that if you if you overturn everyone's in agreement, the lower court judgment is wonderful. This evil Nazi fascist Hitler guy is, he stuck it up in that fucking Hitler, and so it's a good decision. They're happy with it. If the decision, is against somebody who's a climate change activist that's created all sorts of mayhem, if the decision goes against them, that's a terrible court decision. It's evil. It's bad. It's Hitler made that decision. But if the court decision goes against someone they don't like, then obviously it's a wonderful decision. Of course, it's the law. It's an independent court in action. So very, very selective in what they support and don't support, and denounce and don't denounce. But anyway, so you're the appeal court judge, and if you overturn that lower court decision, you're off that party A list, certainly for a period of time. Maybe the very best parties you don't get invited to, or that you get invited to some of them, but not all, and that people avoid you or are very, very careful what they say and speak to you in short staccato sentences, and you're out of the loop now. You're not one of the one of those anointed ones anymore, and that you feel that. There's sort of charity events that your wife gets invited to, and then the invites there slow down quite a bit, and so on. And you're now being tested to re-establish your woke credentials. And you better deliver, otherwise the invites are going to drop off even more. Now, this is upsets your wife, your daughter is now in her early 20s and at college and studying sociology, and so she's going to she gets invited to things, and her invites aren't coming anymore. She's not invited to come with you when you go to. So it's a big effect. Your whole social life is affected by this. So you consider that. So as you ponder this overturning this clearly politicized lower court decision, you look at the effect of the decision, which you should make according to the law, you look at that decision and say, this is going to have a huge effect on my social life. Not just me, the judge thinks, but my wife, it's going to affect my daughter. They're going to be nagging at me, forevermore if I don't do what the mob expects. So the woke mob controls the party circuit, the glitterati party circuit. They control it. And it's, as I perceive it, at the very least, it's a huge influencer of decision-making behind the scenes. Now, sure, there's going to be some strong individuals who say, no, okay, if that's the way you guys want to play it, I only get to go to these parties if I do what you want, then fuck you. So there's that influence there. But these are lavishly funded and organised and catered for parties. The very best food, the very best wines, and again, all the very best in terms of power and decision-making and influence peddling, probably more influence peddling than anything. Then these are the parties you want to be seen, you want to go to, you want to be seen at, you want to be known to be at. And just the mere, it's a badge you can wear. I'm on the party A list. Whoa, wow. I'm talking to God here. It's got that sort of, as they would see it, that sort of effect. Now, if you look at, again, the sort of people that are there, the NGOs, the head of the Human Rights Commission, for example, is going to be there. And somebody says, oh, have you heard about the black lesbian that was denied entry to the No, I haven't. Oh, someone says the head of the NGO, so someone from my office will contact one of your people, and we're concerned about this. We think there should be some legal action over this. We're hoping that the Human Rights Commission would see it clear to become involved and pursue this matter in the interest of social justice, in the interest of stopping Hitler. Well, yes, we'll definitely have a. And so now they've got a mission. The Human Rights Commission has now got a mission that if they don't do this, then they may not be on the party A list anymore. So this is the power these things have. Now, it's very petty, it's silly, it's quite childish. You'd think it's more fitting for the girly sort of doll's house games in high school or something. But no, these are adults. They're paid huge salaries and they have huge influence. Now, I know I know a judge, for example, that has quite an active social life. But all of it's part of this, all of it's associated with this, not all of it, no, actually, that's not fair. Most of it is associated with this party A list. But there's also a knock-on effect that because he's known to be on the A list, that he gets other invites because he's an A-lister than come to another party. He therefore has other social benefits, if you like. And if you look at all the social sort of gatherings and meetings and parties and barbecues, dinners, and it's all being part of this social scene. And I've watched the sort of people who try and get at him at these parties, and I've been at the same party, and he and I get on quite well. Actually, I quite like him, but he's the way the woke people gather around him and try and get in his ear about he should do woke things and make woke decisions, and he has the power to create legal precedent in the court, and it's incumbent on him to play his part on delivering woke outcomes to the and I don't know whether he does or doesn't do it or not, but just sort of looking at the decisions he makes and the legal decisions, then it's reasonable for me to assume that he's being influenced by these woke people from these parties. Now, to the extent of that influence, it's harder to say. But is it influencing? I've no doubt it does. And I would consider him probably someone who was more resistant to those sort of things, but than others might be. But again, particularly his wife would be concerned that if he stopped getting these invites, and then that would substantially impact her social life. She's in turn got a network friends or people she knows, and I'm not sure they're friends, who admire her because she is a party A-lister, and therefore they want to sort of bask in the reflected rays of the sun that she gives off. And the gatherings she has, she can rustle up, I don't know, 10, 20 people for some sort of, a coffee and cakes type girly party gathering somewhere. And she can do that no problem. And if she was off that party A-list, she'd struggle to get anyone to turn up. So it would affect her. So he is very mindful of that wider social implication in what he says and does. And you could say this in politicians. And also there are hangers-on, like there's a federal politician who I know, and his principal advisor, or whatever you call it, is a single woman, and she's hoping to bag like a rich prince or something like that, and so she gets goes to every embassy party she can get hold of, and given he can't get to all the embassy parties, and the politician himself isn't that keen on going from the looks of it, she sort of stands in as his deputy. I'm standing in for politician Billy Bob, so she goes to these parties. Now, she's made it quite clear to me, because I think, well, what are you at those parties for? You must be exhausted because you hang out till the small hours. And so she said, no, hey, there's the food's fantastic. The drink is like great. I could never afford this sort of thing from my salary. And there's a lot of seriously rich hot guys there. So, wow, of course I'm going to go. And she considers it a bit of a rope, but she's not an A-lister herself. But she steers, she influences the politicians. So when it comes to way he's going to vote, because people are watching this, what way he's going to vote in the parliament, she wants to influence his votes, the way he votes, along the lines of it won't piss off her party A-list invite situation. So she's at these embassy parties or whatever parties, could be the climate change Quango party or something like that. And we've noticed that your boss isn't sure which way he's going to vote about this climate change legislation. We're hoping that you can help him out and help him make the right decision, Billie Jean. And we've actually got some interesting documents from an overseas study you may want to include in your considerations. Do you think you could convince your boss to vote this way or that way? That sort of thing goes on. Now she knows. Now she's been given that task, and this is how it happens. She knows that if she doesn't deliver, that she may not get invited to those parties again. And this allows her to live a delusional lifestyle of wealth and glamour and glitz and so on that her salary, her income couldn't even dream of affording for 5 minutes out of the week, let alone 3 or 4 times out of the week. And in the party full season, she's going to a party pretty much every night, and dips out for lunch parties as well. So she's having a fantastic lifestyle that in terms of the parties and so on, that she can't dream of, but she has to deliver. They're coming to her. They know who she is. Now there's if you like, who gets invited to these parties and what's going to be said, who gets approached and so on. This is reasonably well planned. I hadn't realized how well planned and tightly coordinated it is. Like the international media is coordinated by the globalists. These politicians and their assistants, their offsiders, their policy advisors, their helpers, they're targeted quite closely, and they're watched quite closely. And when they're, can you invite Billy Bob, politician's assistant, to the policy advisor to this party? Yeah, we just want to have a chat to them, and in the midst of all the fine champagne and the escargot or something like that, they're going to approach. Someone will just quietly approach them. They'll have a little bit of small talk, and then it'll get into the meat and potatoes of it all, and they'll add be suggesting, inferring that can you influence the way your boss votes in Parliament by presenting certain arguments or documents or papers or studies or something like that. It's all very benign. It's all very social. It's all very, very chic and so on. But that's how it goes on. So the party A list is nobody wants to be taken off the party A list, and it's a sort of level of parties and so on that these people can't dream of affording on their own. You would need an income of to play in that league. You would need an income of well over $1 million a year to play in that league, and there's just not many who've got that sort of income. So I just want to highlight that the fear of being taken off the party A list is a huge motivator for many people on the decisions they make, with their legal decisions, political decisions, investment decisions, and so on. And that needs to be recognised. It's a form of influence peddling and corruption, in my view, and yet it attracts so little attention. You've been fantastic today at your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.